The Truth About the Prophet Baba Vanga and the Prophecies That Shook the World. Grandmother Vanga, January 31, 1911–August 11, 1996, born Vangeliya Pandeva Dimitrova, known after her marriage as Vangelia Gushterova, was a blind Bulgarian mystic, clairvoyant, and herbalist, who spent most of her life in the Rupite area in the Kozu Mountains, Bulgaria. Millions of people around the world believed she possessed paranormal abilities. Life. Vanga was born in Strumica, then in the Ottoman Empire, present-day Republic of Macedonia. She was a premature baby who suffered from health complications. In accordance with local tradition, the baby was not given a name until it was deemed likely to survive. When the baby first cried out, a midwife went into the street and asked a stranger for a name. The stranger proposed Andromache, but this was rejected for being too Greek during a period of anti-Hellenic sentiment within Bulgarian society. Another stranger's proposal was a Greek name, but popular with Bulgarians in the region, Vangelia, from Evangelos. In her childhood, Vangelia was an ordinary child with brown eyes and blonde hair. Her father was an IMRO activist, conscripted into the Bulgarian army during World War I, and her mother died soon after. This left Vanga dependent on the care and charity of neighbors and close family friends for much of her youth. After the war, Strumica emigrated from Bulgaria to Serbia. The Serbian authorities arrested the father, because of his pro-Bulgarian activity. They confiscated all his property and the family fell into poverty for many years. Vanga was considered intelligent for her age. Her inclinations started to show up when she herself thought out games and loved playing healing. She prescribed some herbs to her friends, who pretended to be ill. Her father, being a widower, eventually remarried, thus providing a stepmother to his daughter. According to her own testimony, a turning point in her life occurred when a tornado allegedly lifted her into the air and threw her in a nearby field. She was found after a long search. Witnesses described her as very frightened, and her eyes were covered with sand and dust. She was unable to open them because of the pain. There was money only for a partial operation to heal the injuries she had sustained. This resulted in a gradual loss of sight. In 1925 Vanga was brought to a school for the blind in the city of Zemun, in the Kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes, where she spent 3 years, and was taught to read Braille, play the piano, as well as do knitting, cooking, and cleaning. After the death of her stepmother, she had to go back home to take care of her younger siblings. Her family was very poor, and she had to work all day. In 1939 Vanga contracted pleurisy, although it remained largely inactive for some years. The doctor's opinion was that she would die soon, but she quickly recovered. The House of Vanga in Petric. Vanga's last house, built in 1970, in Rupite, Petric, during World War II. Vanga attracted believers in her ability to heal and soothsay. A number of people visited her, hoping to get a hint about whether their relatives were alive, or seeking for the place where they died. On April 8, 1942 the Bulgarian Tsar Boris III visited her. On May 10, 1942, Vanga married Dimitar Gushterov, Bulgarian soldier from the village of Kranjalica near Petric, who had come asking for the killers of his brother, but had to promise her not to seek revenge. Shortly before marriage, Dimitar and Vanga moved to Petric, where she soon became well known. Dimitar was then conscripted in the Bulgarian army and had to spend some time in northern Greece, which was annexed by Bulgaria at the time. He got another illness in 1947, fell into alcoholism, and eventually died on April 1, 1962. She continued to be visited by dignitaries and commoners. After the Second World War, Bulgarian politicians and leaders from different Soviet republics, even Leonid Brezhnev, sought her counsel. In the 1990s, a church was built in Rupite by Bogdan Tomilovsky with money left by her visitors. Vanga died on August 11, 1996 from breast cancer. Her funeral attracted large crowds, including many dignitaries. Fulfilling Vanga's last will and testament, her Petric house was turned into a museum, which opened its doors for visitors on May 5, 2008. Despite her death, her spirit are still communicated by at least one known fellow Bulgarian prophetess, named Madame Vanya. Vanga was illiterate or semi-literate, as well as showing very right-wing, reactionary and xenophobic tendencies. She did not write any books herself. What she said or allegedly said had been captured by staff members. Later numerous esoteric books on Vanga's life and predictions were written. Vanga claimed that her extraordinary abilities had something to do with the presence of invisible creatures, but she could not clearly explain their origin. She said that those creatures gave her information about people, which she could not transmit to them, because distance and time did not matter. According to Vanga, the life of everyone standing in front of her was like a film to her from birth until death. But changing what was written on the generation was well beyond her power. Sources such as the Weisler Field Guide to the Paranormal claim that she foretold the breakup of the Soviet Union, the Chernobyl disaster, the date of Stalin's death, the sinking of the Russian submarine Kursk, the September 11 attacks and Topolov's victory in the World Chess Tournament. On the other hand, Bulgarian sources say that the people who were close to her claim that she never prophesied about Kursk or other subjects circulating the internet, and that many of the myths about Vanga are simply not true, which ultimately hurts and crudely misrepresents her and her work. In early August 1976, just 2 months before her death, Yugoslav actress and singer Silvana Armanulik was on tour in Bulgaria and decided to seize the opportunity to meet with Baba Vanga. The meeting was unpleasant. Vanga only sat and stared out a window with her back to Silvana. She did not speak. After a long time, Vanga finally spoke. "Nothing. You do not have to pay. I do not want to speak with you. Not now. Go and come back in 3 months." As Silvana turned around and walked towards the door, Vanga said, "Wait. In fact, you will not be able to come. Go, go. If you can come back in 3 months, do so." Silvana took this as confirmation that she would die and left Vanga's home in tears. Armanulik died 2 months later, October 10, 1976, in a car crash with her sister Marjana. In 1979, Vanga predicted about a greater Russia rising to become a superpower, leading to the removal of everything in its path. Everything will melt away like ice, yet the glory of Vladimir, the glory of Russia are the only things that will remain. Russia will not only survive, it will dominate the world. Predicted by Baba Vanga in 1979, Vanga incorrectly predicted that the 1994 FIFA World Cup final would be played between two teams beginning with B. Some say that she foretold it that way because of the penalty that Bulgaria was not given. One finalist was Brazil, but Bulgaria was eliminated by Italy in the semi-finals. Vanga predicted that a World War III would start in November 2010 and last until October 2014. However, according to close friends, Vanga was not the type to voice predictions she saw if they were catastrophic, because she knew that chaos that would ensue around those she told. Witnesses and close friends also claim that she never made such prophecies, and in fact when asked claimed that there will be no World War III. Nevertheless, after North Korea, a nuclear nation, attacked South Korea on November 23, 2010, there was a spike in internet interest about Vanga concerning this alleged prophecy. Vanga purportedly predicted another realm of being, claiming that entire cultures would begin to spread through a false world. She claimed that in 2003, any person would be able to think in synchronicity with others, allowing for a form of secondary existence. 2003 marked the year of release of the game Second Life, in which an account holder can make an avatar and engage in social interaction with others. Many believe this to be the secondary realm of being that Vanga spoke of. Vanga attempted to prophesy about newborn or unborn children. She said that she was seeing and talking to people who had died hundreds of years ago. Vanga talked about the future, although she did not like to. In her words, "In 200 years men will make contact with brothers in mind from other worlds." She said that many aliens have been living on the Earth for years. They came from the planet, which in their language is called Vanfium, and is the third planet from the Earth. In 1988, she predicted those of big leaders and the eighth one, whom people referred to as Vladimir Putin, as well as the nations joining the group of 8. We are witnessing the events of paramount significance. Two big leaders shook hands. Manifest reference to Mikhail Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan. but we have to wait for a long time before the eighth one will come forth and sign a final peace agreement on Earth. Predicted by Baba Vanga in January 1988, followers of Vanga believe that she predicted the precise date of her own death, dreaming that she would die on August 11, and be buried on August 13. Shortly before that she had said that a 10-year-old blind girl living in France was to inherit her gift, and that people would soon hear about her. Vanga reached news headlines after predicting, in 1989, what many interpret to be the 9/11 terror attacks. Horror, horror. The American brethren will fall after being attacked by the steel birds. The wolves will be howling in a bush, and innocent blood will be gushing. Predicted in 1989 by Baba Vanga, she also spoke of world-shaking global catastrophes and disasters, as well as the changing of the people's mentality due to the division by their faith, which happened as predicted. With the arrival of bad times, your license has expired, or you do not have a valid license verification file. Please contact our sales support team for more information. Numerous catastrophes and disasters will shake the world. The mentality of the people will change. They will be divided by their faith. Predicted by Baba Vanga at an unknown time, Vanga also predicted that the 44th President of the United States would be African American and would be the last one before being succeeded by someone with a messianic personality, both of which some refer to as Barack Obama and Donald Trump. She repeatedly spoke about a forgotten ancient teaching that would be related to Russia and would be materialist in the world. There is an ancient Indian doctrine, the doctrine of the White Brotherhood. It will extend worldwide. About it we'll print new books, and them will read everywhere on the earth. It will be the fiery Bible. Day and all religions will disappear. There will be only a doctrine of the White Brotherhood. Precisely white color it will cover the earth, and thanks to it people will escape. The new doctrine will come from Russia. It the first will be cleared. The White Brotherhood will extend across Russia and will begin the procession on the world. Predicted by Baba Vanga, according to journalist Dmitry Gachev, the prophetess predicted the war in Syria long before it started. The journalist asked her when peace was going to come. Peace will come when Damascus falls, and the Bible says that no stone would be left upon another in Damascus. A man from Russia will come to save us all. Russia is a mother country. Vanga said. Said by Baba Vanga when asked by journalist Dmitry Gachev, in December 2016, when asked what will happen in 2017, Vanga's spirit spoke through Vanya about Trump and Brexit, as well as speaking about the threat coming from unchecked immigrants. She said Trump will serve 2 terms and Brexit will become good for Britain. Studies. One recent attempt to systematically summarize the existing knowledge about Vanga was made in the documentary Vanga, The Visible and Invisible World. The movie includes interviews with some of the people who met Vanga in person, including Sergei Medvedev, press secretary to President of Russia Boris Yeltsin in 1995-96. Sergei Medvedev visited Vanga as Yeltsin's envoy following Vanga's request to meet her. Neshka Robeva, Bulgarian rhythmic gymnast and coach, Sergei Mikhailkov, Soviet and Russian writer, author of the Soviet Union anthem, Nevena Tosheva, director of the first documentary about Vanga, Kirsan Alamzinov, Kalmyk multi-millionaire businessman and politician. According to the documentary, Baba Vanga predicted Yeltsin's second electoral victory in 1995, and warned him about his heart condition. Several researchers have studied the phenomenon of Vanga in the attempt to establish whether she has any extraordinary capabilities. One of the first studies was initiated by the Bulgarian government and is described in the 1977 movie Phenomen 46, directed by Nevena Tosheva. Prominent Bulgarian psychiatrists Nikola Shipkovensky and Georgy Lozin have also studied the capabilities of Vanga. Reportedly, some of the studies concluded that about 80% of predictions of Vanga turned out to be accurate. Baba Vanga in popular culture. Vangelia, a 24-episode biographical TV series with elements of mysticism, was commissioned in 2013 by Channel 1 Russia. Clairvoyant supposed predictions, political speculations with them and their criticism continue to appear in the mass media in different countries and in different languages. Her image is particularly popular in the Balkans and in Russia. Russian publications related to the mysterious prophetess are numerous. The Great Encyclopedia of Vanga is a Russian online project, dedicated to her. Baba Vanga, or more commonly known as Nostradamus of the Balkans, is famous for her extremely accurate visions. And she has some creepy predictions for 2017. She is a Bulgarian prophet who became popular after she predicted the 9/11 terror attack in the Twin Towers in New York City. According to her, she saw an American brethren attacked by two steel birds. This is believed to be referring to the hijacked jets which hit the World Trade Center. According to her, she had her first vision when she was just 12 years old. This was after a storm damaged her eyesight as she was thrown out by the wind. She claims to have seen many events that will take place in the future. Some of the predictions she got right was when she predicted the Great Muslim War in 2010. She said it will take place in Syria and would only conclude in the year 2043 after a caliphate, an Islamic state, is built with Rome at its center. She also said that by 2016, Europe will cease to exist and would be washed out by 2017. She described it as almost empty and a wasteland almost entirely devoid of any form of life. This had been quite true as the controversial Brexit happened last year, and that there are reports claiming that ISIS activities are threatening the borders of the continent. Before her death in 1996, she gave all her predictions in the coming years. See below. Year 2017, Muslims will invade Europe. Year 2023, there will be major changes in the Earth's orbit. Year 2025, the population of Europe will disappear as a result of wars. Year 2028, there comes an attempt to go to other planets like Venus, hop into other sources of energy to Earth. Year 2033, water levels rise due to the melting of the poles. Year 2076, communism contagious return to Europe and the rest of the world. Year 2084, the rebirth of nature. Year 2100, a new sun illuminates the dark side of the planet. This could refer to a scientific project that began in 2008 and will create an artificial sun using nuclear energy. Year 2130, extraterrestrial civilizations might reach our planet. Year 2170, global drought. Year 2187, two large volcanoes erupt. Year 2262, Mars is threatened by a comet. Year 2480, two artificial suns collide and leave the Earth in total darkness. Year 3005, a war on Mars will change the trajectory of the planet. Year 3010, a comet reaches the Moon, so the Earth is covered by a ring of rocks and ashes. Year 3797, the Earth dies but mankind has advanced enough to move to a new solar system. Year 5079, the universe will end to show up when she herself thought out games and loved playing healing. She prescribed some herbs to her friends, who pretended to be ill. Her father, being a widower, eventually remarried, thus providing a stepmother to his daughter. According to her own testimony, a turning point in her life occurred when a tornado allegedly lifted her into the air and threw her in a nearby field. She was found after a long search. Witnesses described her as very frightened, and her eyes were covered with sand and dust. She was unable to open them because of the pain. There was money only for a partial operation to heal the injuries she had sustained. This resulted in a gradual loss of sight. In 1925 Vanga was brought to a school for the blind in the city of Zemun, in the kingdom of Serbs, Croats and Slovenes, where she spent 3 years, and was taught to read Braille, play the piano, as well as do knitting, cooking, and cleaning. After the death of her stepmother she had to go back home to take care of her younger siblings. Her family was very poor, and she had to work all day. In 1939 Vanga contracted pleurisy, although it remained largely inactive for some years. The doctor's opinion was that she would die soon, but she quickly recovered. The truth about the prophet Baba Vanga and the prophecies that shook the world. Grandmother Vanga, January 31, 1911 – August 11, 1996, born Vangeliya Pandeva Dimitrova, known after her marriage as Vangelia Gushterova, was a blind Bulgarian mystic, clairvoyant, and herbalist, who spent most of her life in the Rupite area in the Kozu Mountains, Bulgaria. Millions of people around the world believed she possessed paranormal abilities. Life: Vanga was born in Strumica, then in the autumn. Vangelia was an ordinary child with brown eyes and blonde hair. Her father was an IMRO activist, conscripted into the Bulgarian army during World War I, and her mother died soon after. This left Vanga dependent on the care and charity of neighbors and close family friends for much of her youth. After the war, Strumica emigrated from Bulgaria to Serbia. The Serbian authorities arrested the father, because of his pro-Bulgarian activity. They confiscated all his property and the family fell into poverty for many years. Vanga was considered intelligent for her age. Her inclinations started in Empire, present-day Republic of Macedonia. She was a premature baby who suffered from health complications. In accordance with local tradition, the baby was not given a name until it was deemed likely to survive. When the baby first cried out, a midwife went into the street and asked a stranger for a name. The stranger proposed Andromache, Andromache, but this was rejected for being too Greek during a period of anti-Hellenic sentiment within Bulgarian society. Another stranger's proposal was a Greek name, but popular with Bulgarians in the region, Vangelia, from Evangelos. In her childhood,